Hello and welcome back to Pints with Pals. I'm your host Jason, and with me today is Jeremy and Mike. Hey guys.
How's it
Going
going?
on?
I said Jeremy and Jason.
Wait,
Jeremy and Mike. Hey, got you now.
nice. We already forgot our names. It's a healthy start
Been
to
a
the
long week.
yeah.
Very long week.
You are not kidding.
No, but not for me.
Well,
My week's a little bit shorter than your guys's.
oh yes. So today we're drinking Fritts Lager by Old Nation.
Yeah.
Uh,
Have you guys ever had this one?
I
have
have
not had this
not.
one.
You said it's
No,
a
I've had Old
Hellas,
Nation
a
before.
Hellas lager.
It's a Hellas lager. Yeah.
So yeah, I know I like Hellas's and I like lagers, so a Hellas lager, I guess it's just a qualification of it. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm excited to try it.
I'm also excited. And the
Right.
IBUs of it should
Exactly.
have you excited, Mike.
Is it negative?
No.
Actually, it's actually just sweet.
So yeah, I guess I'd say we crack it open here and we can roll into how our weeks are going, what we got planned.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sure.
Because it's one of those ones you want to have cold.
Yes. Ooh.
Now let's see if I can pour into this glass. I'm gonna pour like I know what I'm doing, and not trying to show it on camera. Okay, now I'm gonna try and show it on camera.
I
keep
spilled last
spilling
time,
it.
so
Right.
yeah, I'm just
I'm not qualified to pour a drink. Well, I still screwed it up. I think this glass might
Shame.
actually kind of cause some of the issues with pouring because of like it's a thick walled glass or a double walled glass, and
Yeah.
it's hard for me to hit like the center of it the way it is. Yours look good.
I like that
Very,
color.
very clean.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a clean smell. Remember that one we had that had absolutely no smell? The head had no smell at all. And we're like,
Yeah.
or no, and one of them just smelled like an old beer. I don't remember what that one was I had. It might have been
It was your
the
old
Mexican.
beer, that Modelo. Yeah.
No, the Modelo.
Oh.
Modelo was awesome. That was aged for 2 years.
So, you guys do anything interesting this past weekend or week, or?
This past weekend was the 4th of July for us. Sort of. It was on a Tuesday this year, which sucked. So I ended up working Monday, and yeah, I didn't do a whole hell of a lot. Went out and hung out with my parents and had some hot dogs and hamburgers for the 4th of July because that's a very traditional thing to do, at least in our family. Didn't see any fireworks though. If we'd have stayed home, we'd have seen fire. We missed fireworks everywhere we went, just because of timing. I took a quick trip out to Grand Rapids and bounced around and did less of a brewery trip and more of an exploring Grand Rapids trip. And that was, I mean, we still hit 2 breweries, but that's bound to happen when we were out there. So I enjoyed that. It was fun. What about you guys?
Oh yeah. See, I had all the kids in for the 4th itself. So on the Tuesday, so that was fun. I ended up just growing up some brats and hens. Well, actually, we had a lot of vegetables. Like Rhonda makes this thing called like cowboy caviar, which is like a lot of different beans and peppers and onions and stuff like that. It's actually pretty good. I like it over nachos, or as nachos, and so to eat it by itself. We have pulled pork sandwiches. That was pretty good. The weekend itself, I went golfing. I haven't been golfing in forever, and that was fun. I was by myself, so I could go as fast as I want, as slow as I want. I lost 4 balls, found 3, so
Hey.
that's always pretty good.
You only lost one.
Yeah, I only lost one. Nope. Let's see, anything else? My week is short because I took Monday off. I wasn't going to work, so that was nice. And then I had a dentist appointment today, so actually my week was pretty short overall.
Very nice. For me, I went to Hopcat, which is I don't know, they have like 50 different, craft beers on draft. It's a cool place. I think they're I don't know if they're all over everywhere or just in the Midwest, or at least in Michigan, there's several. Had a couple of beers there with friends, or pals, pints with pals.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that's about it. I'm back in Pittsburgh, so I drove back to Pittsburgh after the 4th.
How was
But
it driving? Did
I
you get
drove at
there?
night, and it was terrifying. I wore these glasses, and they're new, and never doing that again. Fixed the contacts. I'm doing night driving. These terrifying on the turnpike.
Do you get a lot of that like weird glare? Did it
I don't
rain and
know.
stuff too, or no?
No, it was
Okay.
fine. It was just eyes are getting bad. I'm getting old. I don't know. Just it looked like I was dizzy almost. It was bad. I don't know if it was the
Oof, that's
glasses
not good.
or yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Getting old, I have trifocals.
Yeah.
They're like the progressive lenses, so like the upper third is for like, or actually it's more than that, is like for distance, and then in the middle ish is like computer depth. And way at the bottom is for reading, which doesn't work very well. So I bought some reading glasses. Yeah, so do all this kind of crap all the time. I can kind of see it.
Well, what do you think about this beer?
I really like
Very
it.
crisp.
Yeah.
Yeah. For being a Hellas is not as malty as I would want it to be. Because Hellas's are definitely a little more maltier. I don't know. I feel like this is more of a Pilsner to me, I guess. Than what I get from it. Like, I get, even though it's only 18 IBUs, I get more hop notes
Mm-hmm.
from it. So what I mean is like, get like a little bit of peppery kind of notes. There was another one I was thinking of, and I can't remember right now. But to me, it tastes like a pilsner, which is fine. I like pilsners too, which is again a lager at the end of the day. It's just made slightly differently. How about you guys?
It's a weird. They're So I was looking at the can. It's Old Nation, and it's brewed in Williamston, Michigan, which I guess I didn't really realize.
Your neck of the woods,
Yeah.
kind of.
And it says finest quality unpasteurized. I'm like, I didn't know they've ever pasteurized beer. Like that, to pasteurize, I think just means to heat it up to a certain temperature and then kill all the yeast or whatever. So it's like, is
Correct.
any like, so I guess they would potentially say bottle conditioned too would be a way of saying unpasteurized, because I actually pasteurized my cider. So I guess technically it wasn't a weird question, but to stop the fermentation process, to give it a little bit of sweetness. So it's a weird thing to have read on the can. Like it's in like the label of the can. It's like finest quality unpasteurized. I'm like, I don't know. That's a weird thing to have in your label, I think. Anyhow,
Well, yeah,
I like it.
it's maybe it's to stop some of the maybe they're not worried about the residual yeast. Maybe
Right.
that's why, because Bud Light is pasteurized.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so is Coors and Miller and all that kind of stuff is commercial brand. So
Is it weird to
maybe
me
they'll
that
have
pasteurization, or to be pasteurized, reminds me, because of like milk and stuff in the US is all pasteurized, but I thought it had something to do with like a pasture, like things that were like in a pasture need to be pasteurized, kind of things. So like I was like, I didn't
I
realize it
could
was
see
just
why
like
you think that.
yeah, it was like alliteration or whatever. I'm just like, it's got to be that, right? Or
well, no, I know. I thought that too as a kid, and then like a lot of
oh
the
no,
milk
I
that
was an
we buy
adult.
in Michigan. Oh, I was a kid. We would get our milk from Wisconsin, which even made more sense. I'm sure they had bigger pastures than. But no, his name after what his name like Louis Pasteur or something like that. Chemist, if I'm
That
not
I do not
mistaken.
know.
Yeah,
That
pretty sure.
that was neat.
Somebody correct me in the comments down below.
Yeah.
Yes, like, comment, and wait.
Yeah. It tastes bitter than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It says 18 IBUs, but it tastes more bitter than I thought
Yeah.
it would.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I could have definitely more than one, but yeah.
I think it's a
I
very
like it.
refreshing. Mine's really cold
Yes,
too,
crisp.
so I think that
Yes,
that
crisp.
really
That's
helps.
good word, crisp. I like it.
Yeah, it's almost like because it has like the sourness, a little bit of a sourness. So it's like if you get like a Granny Smith apple or something that's like a little bit more, not quite as tart as one of those, but it has like that like the back of your throat kind of pulls in a little bit.
Maybe that's what I'm getting, but the beer itself is named after the. I don't think he's the head brewer at Old Nation, but he is one of the brewers, Fritts. I've been there before. It's a very cool place in the middle of nowhere, between Lansing and I don't even know what else. Novi. What's on the other way? Cool place. I mean, they were known for M43, which is an IP or a New England IPA.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Because that's where I recognize them from.
Mm-hmm. All their cans, labels all look the same. Though this one, I guess, is the first one that I've seen that's not named after a road.
Right. That's where I was
Right,
confused.
yeah.
I thought there were different things. Yeah. The
So
Old Nations.
that flavor you're talking about, I wonder if it's an off flavor called acetylhold.
Oh,
I had to look it up. It's a
Yeah.
big one, so it actually gives a green apple flavor.
oh,
So you both can kind of taste that. I don't think I can taste that myself, but yeah, that's an off flavor.
Yeah, it's almost like dry. Like it over well, not over, but it's basically just tastes dry to me, like a dry but sweet. Somehow.
So do you guys know if they make other kind of lagers or pilsners besides their M series of beers, which seem to be more IPAs for the most part?
That's all I
So
thought
if
they
you-
were. So I never even looked for Old Nation
Ah.
anything because I just assumed that every single beer they had was another one. But that's where I found the Brute IPA was one
Yep.
of the Old Nation ones. Because we were gonna do a Brute
So-
IPA at one point.
they originally were making traditional German style beers. They weren't having, they being Old Nation, weren't having any hits. Nothing was really taken off, and people were coming into the brewery, and this is, I don't know, but I mean, when the craft brew stuff all kind of started, I guess, in the teens. I don't know, whenever that would have been, 2013, 2014. And nothing was really hitting. People were getting, upset with their, like, how service was of the place, and they were like getting bummed out. And I guess the brewer was reading like a Facebook group, and people were talking about New England IPAs, which was a new style or a style that was becoming popular. And they were asking questions, and the brewer apparently decided to reply and got the chatting with this brew group, and they came out. He invited them all out to the brewery, and they made a New England IPA together. Not M43, but the roots of it can be found in this original recipe that they made apparently. And they went from making 1,200 barrels a year to making 20,000 like instantly when they made M43.
Wow.
Like it was, I don't know what their production is now, but that they definitely took off after that. And since then, now that they've got an established beer or two, they've been able to, it sounds like they're going back and trying to release these style of beers in stores. I forget what if you look on their website, they label it as like, original beer series or something, where they're trying to, do different styles of beers for people to try that, that might not necessarily be something that they've had from Old Nation before, unless you went to the pub.
Right.
They do, what was the cart horse, I think, IPA? Was another New England IPA that they do.
Mhm.
I remember having some of those with Mike. Mike didn't have them, but I did, and that was when Mike had to come save me.
That was what that was.
Oh.
Try and save me, yeah. They are delicious and they are strong. But this is nothing like those. This is nice and crisp and delicious.
Yeah,
And
I'm
a
trying to
low
find like
percent,
their
5%, I believe.
Yeah, that's still
Oh, okay.
relatively high for like as light as this tastes. 5.5.
Oh, 5.5. Yeah.
Which I would consider like a little bit heavier than I want to drink in the summer. Because I don't really ever want to get, because I feel like as soon as I get hot, I can feel it coming out of my pores, and I just feel gross as far as like drinking heavy beers in the summertime or in the heat anyway.
Right.
I was trying to like look up the Old Nation stuff, but website design, and this coming from a developer, has gotten to the point where it's like it's a fun game of like try and follow the bouncing ball around to try and figure out how do you find stuff. It's like and I have my window shrunk down, so it's like it's even harder to do because it's like they're expecting it either to be like a computer screen, like widescreen for some stupid reason, or a telephone.
We're just getting old,
I'm
Mike.
like
We're just
1,000
talking
years
about
old.
this.
Yep. It's
So they do quite a bit different styles. They don't actually. They have quite a few IPAs or New England IPAs, but they do kind of have everything on their menu now. Their food was also really good. Sorry, not that this is a food podcast, but
yeah, they have a wheat beer on tap, a pilsner, an IPA, golden ale. It's called Whirlpool Tart Pog. I'm like, what?
So the one I can get down here is definitely the M43. I thought there was another M
okay.
something, but I don't see it on there.
I thought it was
This is just plain old M22 or
Boss Tweed was also a big
M77 or
one.
something. But yeah, I don't see it on
Okay.
their list right now. But yeah, so
Okay.
I can definitely get the M43. I can get that one down here. That one's interesting. That's not too far off. In my opinion, not too far off from the Juice Force, the one that Mike liked.
M43 or the other
yeah,
one?
the M43 one. I don't think
Really?
it's as sweet,
Oh.
but it has a lot of those more like mango tropical notes and not as bitter as most IPAs are, which is pretty cool.
It's easy drinking and it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's like 7% or something like that.
Yeah, they have 10-penny, which is a Scottish ale. They have a root beer. Wait.
Yeah, that's crazy. The stuff they have.
Helles.
So what Helles do you guys actually gravitate to, or do you just
I think the first one I ever had was at either on this podcast if we had one or not, but then it was at the bar in
East Brewery?
Chicago. Yeah,
That
no.
was delicious.
Was that East Brewery? I can't.
Priest Brewery had the
Priest,
Helles,
yeah.
and we also had another beer there, and that one, those were delicious. Since then, I've tried them. I think nothing can top that first one I had. But I don't know. I honestly will say that I don't see a lot of Helles in the stores, but maybe it's just that I'm not looking for them.
Well, I think that like this one, it says Fritz Lager, but it doesn't even say on the can Helles, at least not anywhere I see. It says it in like the description on the web, but nothing on here says Helles. So I think it'd be harder to actually find something specifically especially when you're at even a brewery, because this lager, and I'm guessing Helles is just the style in which they made it, like however they did whatever they did to get to that style, because it says Helles style lager.
Right. They may end up down there because they don't want to confuse people though either. Maybe they want to keep it a little more bland. Like I see lager and you know what I'm talking about. Right. But if I say like a Dunkel, you're like, oh, what's that? Well, that's another lager, but it's not the lager you're used to. Or a Schwarzbier, like bring a Schwarzbier. Like what the hell's that? Well, it's just another lager. It's a black lager.
Wow.
It's just one of these things that are just really weird things to say. But my favorite one, the first one I had, was in Knoxville, from a company called Scholl's Brew. It's a German influenced. It's a castle in Knoxville. It's a German castle. You walk through, and it's a huge place, and it is divine. It is so good. And I've had other Helleses. I've like sought out Helleses at More Beer and Libation Station, and the other ones I've had, they've been good, but they're not memorable. Like I don't remember their names. But they've been good. But I kind of hold this one up higher because I like it has a nice maltiness to it, so it's kind of sweet. It is crystal clear, so like this is a little hazy to me compared to what I had. It's like a completely clear beer that is super sweet, not super sweet, but super smooth, crisp, like a great summer beer. It was also like 5.5%, but it doesn't taste like 5.5%, so I don't mind drinking those. But that's my standard of one. I'm sure there's other ones out there that I've had that are really good. I just don't remember their names.
Yeah, I like to tell people your like if you're going to a brewery, the point of trying their like lightest beer that they have, because that's the beer you can't hide anything in, and they do a good job of not like the flavors are coming. I assume that these are the flavors they want. Like the thing you said that with the tartness of this, the apple flavor could be an off. They could have accidentally gotten that, but it tastes good to me. So,
but they may have went for it though too. Yeah, they may have liked that kind of flavor. Which could be anything could happen. They could have been all the way to like something being not sanitized properly, which I doubt. They're a pretty big brewery, but from what it sounds like, sure, I think sanitized, but it could have been like oxygenated too much. You know, too much oxygen into either the wort or had oxygen in the line to make it that way. I mean, that's possible because like Heineken is known to be skunky, and that's what people like about them. They do that on purpose.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's probably different batches. I mean, Mike and I have the same. We split a 4-pack of it.
all right,
So Jeremy, who knows how old yours is?
that's a good question. Mine is, let's see, Best Buy.
You got yours from Best Buy?
So mine is from mine's expired.
Well,
September 21st, 22.
interesting.
Yeah, ours is
Ours is a
the
year
20
younger than yours. So that's maybe the flavors could have changed. Who knows?
Yeah. That's not bad though. I mean, this is like I had a 4-pack like you guys had. This is my last one, so like I'm not saying it's trash. I'm drinking
Obviously,
them
you
all.
liked it. Yeah.
Obviously, I like it. I'm still drinking them. I'm not spitting them out.
So my parents had we made a cooler out of an old it was like
Ice
a Ready
cream,
Whip container, like a big like
Oh,
a Ready Whip cooler that you get like at a store, like they bring out for the holidays. One of my buddies was working there and they're just throwing them out because they're like Ready Whip brought them in for like some sale for like Thanksgiving or Christmas or something, and then they just get rid of them because they're just like pushing them around in the back or whatever. So he took it, gonna make it a kegerator, but then a keg, it's like an inch or two too small on either side to fit a full keg in there. So we're like, cool, this was worthless. And then we just turned it into like a little drink fridge, but then it just had like that stupid glass door on top. So we took and like redid the whole thing. Well, I went out there this weekend and went to go grab a beer, and I was like looking at it, but the way it's like it's vertical, it's like a chest freezer, but then it was like all like not mildewy but wet in there, so like stuff at the very bottom was starting to like mold a little bit. I'm like,
oh
you
boy.
need to get rid of. And then it's like I pulled out something that had expired like 3 years ago, and I'm like, no, this you can't. No.
I thought it was one of those ice cream. I know what you're talking about. I thought it was one of because it is a sliding door,
Yeah.
which the ice cream things at grocery stores have.
Yeah.
When you like, oh, I'm gonna grab a little popsicle.
Yeah, it
So
looks just like that, but it's a little bit smaller, and it
right
had
when
a
I
big
went to
Ready
your
Whip container on it on the inside.
yeah when I went to your parents' cottage and I look in there, I'm like, I expected ice cream and it's just full of beer.
Oh, it's like adult
Like
ice cream.
this isn't for the kids.
Yep. Yeah, it was so like they spent like I guess all of today cleaning it out. Now they're both retired too, so they spend a lot of time together, so they need to find other jobs and things to do to keep themselves busy. But
Start brewing beer.
yeah, my dad really wants
Start
to,
brewing beer.
but then he remembers all the other stuff that he is supposed to do and then does none of those things and just goes fishing.
That works
So
too.
I kind of messed up over this weekend too. I forgot to bring this up. So I cleaned out my keezer, and I took the hops I had in there out, and I set them on the rack, and then I didn't find them until like 3 days after the fact. So all the hops I've been saving for about a year now are all pretty bad, so I throw them all away. That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I need to figure out a way to keep the condensation out of my keezer when I make it, and that thing. Like I don't know if it makes sense to put like one of those like things that will fill up with water in there and try and use that to dry it out or what, but it sucks because it just especially because that one stays outside.
Right. I have a wick thing, whatever. And then I used to have a fan in mine, but I took it out to use it somewhere else. So I want to put a fan back in there. So I think the combination of the fan and that moisture drawing wick thing that I have in there worked really, really well because it was filling up quite quickly. I mean, within like a couple months, but still pretty fast, I would say. Because it doesn't like one or the other don't seem to work by themselves very well. Or at least not in mine.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember you sending pictures of your beer fridge thing. You had like all the PVC and like a computer fan and like had all this like contraption to like suck the air from the top and blow it into the bottom across the bottom. I was like, this is awesome.
So I have a question, Jeremy, going back to the beer, and maybe this will lead into if you were to make this beer. So what's the difference between a Helles and a Pilsner or a lager? Like what? I mean, Are they not all the same? Are they all the same? What?
So a Helles, like I talked about earlier, like a Helles is definitely more malty, sweeter at the
Mhm.
front end. We consider them more of a clear beer in color. So like a very pale yellow. Like to me, I think this might be a little too dark, but
Yeah.
Well, yours
that's
is
just
expired, so
my
that's not a
two
good
cents.
example.
Well, mine's still.
You see,
There's a
yours looks as dark
suspension
as
in
mine
ours
does.
for sure.
So
Yours is just
um
kind of.
and a Dunkel is just a really dark lager, which has its own flavor profile. And I find Dunkels to be malty as well too. And I really love a Dunkel. I mean, I think Dunkels are a really good beer. Then you have, like I said, then you have like a Schwartz beer, which is a black lager. Mine that I made was definitely really unique. It still blows Mike's mind. Mine was like, it smelled smoky and chocolatey, and you had coffee, and you had all these crazy, like, around the nose. It was so pungent. You're like, wow, this would be good. And you drink it, you're like, this is thin, this is weak. I don't know what's going on.
It kind of tastes like this. I was like, when you drank it, I'm like, it just tastes like a lager. I am very confused, Jeremy.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
nose told
And
me
I
one
did
thing.
mine. Yeah, and then your brain to do something totally
Yep.
different. A Pilsner is definitely just, it's more, to me, more hoppy at the end of the day. I think it has more
Mhm.
hop character to it. Now, some companies, especially local breweries or craft breweries around here, they'll actually dry hop them and it makes it more like an IPA. I'm gonna call it IPA Pilsner. I don't know if that's true or not, but to me, it's what it tastes like. It has a nice cream crispness to it. Christmas? No, crispness to it.
Sometimes
And
it
then it's
tastes like
a really
Christmas.
nice hot. I can't even talk now. Hop forward flavor. You know, Pete, I tell you, man, this whole dyslexia, stuttering stuff's trying to kick my ass now.
Yeah.
Then you have Marzens, which is another type of lager. You have Fest beers, another type of lager, and a Bock is another type of lager. So they all feel like they all kind of have like their own like sweetness profiles. And they all kind of vary up and down. Like I said, Pilsners would be the most hoppiest ones. I think the rest is gonna float in the middle.
Does an
I
IPA?
prefer a Fest beer. Okay, go ahead.
Never mind. You prefer a fest beer?
Yeah, I prefer like between like the Oktoberfest styles between a Marzen and a Fest. I like a Fest beer better. I think it's easier drinking. It's not as sweet. It's lighter in color. I think it's a little lower ABV too, if I'm not mistaken. But it's all pretty neat on how it all come about. So like they brewed all this stuff and they would shove them in caves and they would just use the ambient temperature of caves, or if not, they pack ice around them to keep them cold. There's one thing I was reading. We're talking about they would plant chestnut trees over top of these caves because chestnut trees' roots won't go very far down, so they weren't worried about the roots going into the caves, and they would provide shade over top of the cave
Oh.
to keep it cooler. And then there's like some weird things about like that became like some of the first like beer gardens. So then they would serve from the cave out underneath the trees and stuff like that, which I thought was a pretty interesting little story about how the Germans did it. And I know like you guys told me that Founders does something kind of similar with their barrel aging stuff. They will put it into like the salt mines
Salt
in
mines.
Grand Rapids to let them sit for 6 months,
Right.
2 years, whatever it is. So yeah, I think it's pretty neat on how people still kind of use that traditional way of making beer, because like Marzens and Fest beers are typically made in March, and then they'll sit in a cold area all the way until September, October.
October.
I think
when
those
that
are
stuff
my
starts.
favorite style. A non-lager style of beer, or non barrel aged, I guess. Bud Light
Hmm.
being the one that I drink all the time. But I think that's the one I'd seek out. Like if I went to a place and they had a Oktoberfest of some sort on there, or now a Marzen or a Fest, I'll look for those specifically. Did you want to cover your potential home brew section, Jeremy?
Yeah, I definitely will. So this recipe I've copied from someone else just because I'm not sure really how to make one.
It
Actually, there's
seems
stuff in here I
more
would probably
complicated than
not use.
a lot of the other
Yeah.
recipes.
So again, this is for a 5-gallon batch. So I would use almost 10 pounds of Pilsner malt. That would be like the base malt again because I'm making a lager. Why not? And then I would use about 8 ounces of Munich malt. I would probably change what he has here, but I'm gonna say it anyway. He has 5 ounces of care pills. So basically, what care pills or caramel pills will add to like the color to it. I don't think it would add much flavor at all because it's such a low amount. Then he has 8 ounces of acidulated malt. Which I'm not even sure what that is. I assume that maybe give it more of a bite
That might be that
to it.
the bite that I was experiencing a little
Right.
bit. Yeah.
Right. Let's see. I would probably choose this too. I would probably use a whole ounce of pearl hops, and then I would use 1 ounce of Holotar and not what he has there. 'Cause I would probably try to stick to more of the noble hops. And then I would use Warflock, not use Warflock, which basically what that does, it would take all the proteins that's in there
Mhm.
and would coagulate them all together, so they would just drop out to get a nice clear beer. And then to give this a good chance of fermenting really well, I would add about 1 gram of yeast nutrient, which basically just gives it more stuff to chew on for the most part. And then I would kick it off with either a package of W3470, which is a dry Saf lager yeast, which I've used before. And once that's all done, if it didn't turn out clear, I would probably at the end I would add gelatin or biofine. So what that will do, it will just take all those other floaters that are in there and drop all that out as well, so you get the most clearest beer possible. And then for myself, since I have a floaty dip tube, I would use that as well, so I get up the clearest beer on top, and then it would just kind of suck all the beer down. But that last part is not important. Like if you have it, use it.
Is this a bottom fermenting?
Yes.
So would the Warflock
100%.
cause issues with that if it's coagulating and pushing everything to the bottom? Okay. I
No.
didn't know if like that was going to cause issues with like a bottom fermenting beer or not.
Mm-hmm.
So the yeast is all just going to be
Shut
underneath
it.
some cake of whatever's in there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool.
Because I'm
Yeah, I
not sure
would
how
like
long
to.
it takes for the yeast to sink down. Right. It could
Right.
take 24 hours, and all those proteins would already be at the bottom.
Cool. Well, on that note, I think it is past our wrapping up point, as they say in the podcasting biz. Thanks for tuning in, and go have a pint with your pals.
Please drink responsibly.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.